years, Peterbot had so many cheating accusations that he was nicknamed Cheaterbot.
Something is not adding up with his gameplay.
The dude cheating his off, bro.
Jimmy's tracking these guys through walls, man. Like,
But he just went on to have the best.
In the last 6 months, Asian Jeff has gone from a nobody and a nerdy Fortnite kid to an internet superstar. My last video about Jeff talked about how he rose to fame and started earning millions of dollars. But unfortunately, the video that I'm making today was a lot more difficult and sad to make.
You get how I feel? Like, it's just sad.
This is the very fast downfall of Asian Jeff. Some of you OG Timmy fans might remember my first video about Jeff, and in fact it was my second ever video on this channel. Wow, time really flies. But anyway, he was one of the fastest growing content creators in not only Fortnite, but all of the internet at this time. But since releasing that documentary, a lot has happened in the world of Asian Jeff. But for those of you who haven't seen that first video, let me give you a quick recap on Jeff's rise to fame. Despite seeming like an overnight success, Asian Jeff has been streaming since 2019. Of course, when he started, he was barely getting any viewers, averaging like 10 or 20 viewers per stream for years before getting any traction. And even though he barely got any views, he kept streaming. Jeff was basically going live every single day. In 2020, he only missed 17 of the 365 days of streaming. And for those of you who don't stream, a schedule like that is insane to keep up for so long. And we're gonna talk more about that later. However, slowly but surely, Jeff began to grow a community of fans as he started averaging around 500 to 1,000 viewers per stream, which is not bad at all, considering I barely make 100 viewers when I go live, but still pretty low compared to other Fortnite streamers like Clicks, or things just weren't exactly. It's July 31st of 2019, and a young Cody Conrad sat his dad down at the kitchen table and told him that he was ready to drop out of middle school. For almost any other parent in the world, this would have been a very easy no. However, just a few days before they had this talk, the 14-year-old Cody had won $162,000 from playing Fortnite. The kid that would go on to be one of the world's richest teenagers, most successful gamers in the world, and a massive content creator started right here. Cody Conrad, also known as Clicks, was born January 7th of 2005 in Connecticut, where he got into gaming at a very early age.
When I was around 5 years old, I got into video games. I didn't have a PC, but my brother, which was at the age of like, I think 13 or something, he had a PC that I would always sneak into his room and just play Call of Duty Zombies. First game I ever played was Minecraft, and then I realized that my dream was to like become a professional gamer.
But there was only one problem. You couldn't really make money off of professional Minecraft, whatever that really means. But luckily, just a few years later, a brand new game was about to come out that would capture the hearts of kids and adults alike, and it was called Fortnite.
Fortnite.
A server crash just won this Fortnite tournament. In Fortnite Season 3 Cash Cups, there are random server hitches where the entire game just stops for a few seconds. And this happens 3 or 4 times randomly throughout the match. This does have some funny examples that have caused players to die, I will add. In this solo Cash Cup game, pro player Chap has 33 elims from fighting the entire lobby with 4.
Can I jump higher than a Fortnite character? And to find out, I had to re-download the game after 5 years of not playing. And dude, I got lost so fast. I did not know what I was looking at. Like, when I tell you I had to look up a YouTube tutorial just to find the creative mode menu, I am dead serious. But eventually, I did find the creative mode, and I got to work. But first, we have to know how tall a Fortnite character actually is. And by browsing Epic Games' website for a little while, we learned that a Fortnite character is exactly 192 centimeters tall, which is about 6'3.5". And after this, I recorded both a standing and running jump, and then froze each of the jumps at their peaks. And with this, we have everything we need. By creating a ratio of pixels to inches, we can calculate the exact height of each of these jumps. After a bit of math, we learned that a Fortnite character has a standing vertical of 87.3 inches, and a running vertical of 121.8 inches, and I jump 43. Can I jump higher than a Fortnite character? And to find out, I had to re-download the game after 5 years of not playing. And dude, I got lost so fast. I did not know what I was looking at. Like, when I tell you I had to look up a YouTube tutorial just to find the creative mode menu, I am dead serious. But eventually, I did find the creative mode, and I got to work. But first, we have to know how tall a Fortnite character actually is. And by browsing Epic Games' website for a little while, we learned that a Fortnite character is exactly 192 centimeters tall, which is about 6'3.5". And after this, I recorded both a standing and running jump, and then froze each of the jumps at their peaks. And with this, we have everything we need. By creating a ratio of pixels to inches, we can calculate the exact height of each of these jumps. After a bit of math, we learned that a Fortnite character has a standing vertical of 87.3 inches and a running vertical of 121.8 inches, and I jump 43. Can I jump higher than a Fortnite character? And to find out, I had to re-download the game after 5 years of not playing. And dude, I got lost so fast. I did not know what I was looking at. Like, when I tell you I had to look up a YouTube tutorial just to find the creative mode menu, I am dead serious. But eventually, I did find the creative mode, and I got to work. But first, we have to know how tall a Fortnite character actually is. And by browsing Epic Games' website for a little while, we learned that a Fortnite character is exactly 192 centimeters tall, which is about 6'3.5". And after this, I recorded both a standing and running jump, and then froze each of the jumps at their peaks. And with this, we have everything we need. By creating a ratio of pixels to inches, we can calculate the exact height of each of these jumps. After a bit of math, we learned that a Fortnite character has a standing vertical of 87.3 inches and a running vertical of 121.8 inches, and I jump 43. Can I
Sync
jump
your
higher
RGB
than a
device.
Fortnite character? And to find out, I had to re-download the game after 5 years of not playing. And dude, I got lost so fast. I did not know what I was looking at.
What's up everyone, it's Lethal, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to use Raw Excel, and more importantly, why you should use Raw Excel. Now, if you quickly go into your mouse settings in Windows and you go down to additional mouse settings, one of the settings you'll see underneath the pointer options tab is enhance pointer precision. Now, needless to say, I have this option unchecked because it has nothing to do with the type of mouse Excel that I'm using. Make sure that this is unchecked, but we are still going to be using mouse acceleration. Now I'm going to open up this program. These are the settings that I use. My mouse acceleration caps out at a certain sensitivity, and if I enable my last mouse movement, you can see that when I move my mouse in very small amounts, that's the only spot where the accel happens. When I'm barely moving my mouse at all, it accels up into a certain point and then it caps out at my normal sensitivity. That's the only spot where my mouse accelerates, but it actually deaccelerates from what the normal sensitivity would be. So small hand movements move very slow. when I move it any faster than a small hand movement, like an inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, any speed at all, and the acceleration is at the top. Now, the only graph that I pay attention to is the ratio of output to input. The shape velocity chart's a little bit messed up. With the numbers and the settings that I have, there are two options that I try. One is with the gain box checked, and as you can see, my mouse isn't moving very fast. Whenever my hand speed is very small, you can see that on this graph, which shows the ratio of output to input, there is a slight bit of deacceleration. This isn't really accelerating higher than my mouse's sensitivity. The only accel that's happening is it's slowing down my mouse whenever I'm barely moving my hand. And this feels more intuitive than having just a flat line, you know, all the way across. Because I like using high sensitivity, but I don't like trying to make fine adjustments and aim at targets that are far away while using high sensitivity and just missing all of my shots because of over adjusting. So this allows me to have the best of both worlds. It allows me to have control with high sensitivity. Therefore, I can really ignore medium and low sensitivities altogether and just go for the highest possible sensitivity. Why would I want this? Well, in Fortnite.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel.
What's up, everyone? It's Lethal, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to use raw Excel and
from layering two audio sources during matches to blocking out blue light with gaming glasses. These are 15 things Fortnite pros actually use at LAN, and some of these might surprise you. Starting off, we've got something a lot of you may not have seen before. Popular streamer Ozzy was spotted playing with a joystick mounted just below his keyboard. At first, I thought it was the original one from Gaming Mod Kits, but it turns out it's actually the Max Stick Ergo. These things do exactly what they look like. They free up your fingers from a clunky WASD and give you full analog movement, just like you'd get on a controller, while using a mouse and keyboard. Even though they're not super common amongst pros, you do still see them around. Even Martos, which I'm sure most of you will know, is currently using one. And to be fair, you could argue that this thing helped Ozzyantics and Peterbot win the Pro-Am event. This next thing might sound silly at first, but it's something a bunch of pros actually do bring to LAN. With the venues being massive and fully packed with people, they've got to keep everything in the venue cool, so aircon is usually blasting all day long. And if any of you have gamed while it's been cold, you'll know that it's not a very comfortable feeling. It definitely makes your aim feel much stiffer than normal and your fingers just don't move right. That's why you'll see a lot of pros using disposable hand warmers before they do play any matches. They're usually just the cheap ones from Amazon, but honestly they're so worth it and definitely help you warm up in literally a matter of seconds. Next, we've got something that you've definitely seen before, and that's pro players wearing two headsets. The outer headset and then the in-ear headset. The outer one is noise cancelling, and the main purpose of this is to block out the crowd. Then underneath that, you've got some wired earbuds, and those are the player's in-game audio source. The main reason why they can't use their normal headsets like the HyperX Cloud 2s or any other type of headsets that you've seen them use in the practice areas is literally because of the crowd. The crowd can actually give stuff away unintentionally, so using two headsets, the outer and the inner, is the perfect solution to prevent this from happening. And while we are on the topic of blocking things out, some pros use gaming glasses to reduce eye strain by filtering out blue light. Clicks is one pro that's been wearing these since the 2019 World Cup, way before any sort of sponsorships. However, fast forward now, the same gunner glasses he wore back then, he's actually now got his own version of them, which is pretty cool to see. But these can be very beneficial for certain people. As I've heard during long gaming sessions, these can help you stay focused and massively prevent any sort of eye fatigue. So if you do suffer from that, it's something you may want to consider trying out. When it comes to comfort though, it's not just about your eyes or your ears, it's also about your wrist. You've probably seen a lot of pros at LAN using wrist rests, which do usually come with the keyboard itself, or you can buy them additionally. But these things are honestly great. Even the best player in the world right now, that's Peterbot, uses one. Not only is it comfortable, but it also keeps your arm positioned aligned perfectly, which is great for consistency. One funny thing about Peterbot and the wrist rest is even if he doesn't have one at LAN, he will literally use his iPhone instead. Even though this looks ridiculous, you've got to admire his creativity. He will use whatever he can to be comfortable and play his best. And for the rest of your arm, the one that you aim your mouse with, a lot of pros rely on something called a gaming sleeve or arm sleeve. Set Yeti is one pro that you'll see at every LAN event using one. If you've got no idea what these do, it basically helps your forearm glide across a mousepad more smoothly by reducing friction and keeping sweat from messing up your aim. If you've got a special type of mousepad or are even a full-on arm aimer, this thing can be a great addition. Now, if you're still rocking a wired mouse, which I believe some pros actually do still to this day, there's one underrated accessory that can make a huge difference, and that is a mouse bungee. If somehow you have no idea what these are, they basically stop your cable from dragging or like catching, which can seriously mess up your aim. Even though they are quite rare these days, with most pros going wireless by now, for the ones that are unwired, a mouse bungee is basically a non-negotiable. None of this matters though if your mousepad is a mess, because dust, pet hair, even crumbs and other tiny things can throw off your sensor in the mouse without you even realizing. That's why you see some pros straight up bringing a lint roller to LAN so they can clean the mousepad before every gaming session. Although some of you in the comments do claim that a soft brush is way more effective for the health of the mousepad surface, bringing any sort of mousepad cleaner can be an effective way and a low effort way to keep your aim feeling more consistent. Just one roll or brush before you do play can make a world of difference. And speaking of mousepads, nearly every setup you see at LAN has one thing in common. They all have massive mousepads. Like, I'm talking so big they literally hang off the edge of the table, which honestly some of them do look ridiculous at first, but there's a big reason behind it. You'll find that the average pro mousepad size is triple XL, and pros need this extra space to match their low sensitivities, as right now in Fortnite we're in a low sense meta. Mostly every pro has around a 6.3 to 6.4 sensitivity with 800 DPI, so having all that extra mouse room is very beneficial. The last thing you want to do in a fight is hit the edge of a mousepad. The mousepads though mean nothing if the mouse itself can't keep up. This is why the majority of pro players are using a top-end competitive gaming mouse. It's either the Logitech G Pro X Superlight 2 or the Razer Viper V3. Both of these mice are very lightweight, they've got the top sensors, and both of the shapes are very versatile and can fit most hand grips, so you can imagine why they ended up in the hands of so many pro players. As a bonus thing, some pros even modify their gaming mice with things like aftermarket mouse skates from layering two audio sources during matches to blocking out blue light with gaming glasses. These are 15 exact same deal. Pros love speed. That's why you'll see competitive esports keyboards in the hands of every pro. In Fortnite specifically, you'll see the SteelSeries Apex Pro Mini or 10K Less is the go-to, while in other games like CS2, you'll see the Wooten HE or ADHA. Both of these keyboards have two features that every competitive player loves. That's adjustable actuation point, which allows you to configure the keyboard to be much quicker than a standard mechanical keyboard, and the other feature is rapid trigger, which some pros like Peterbot use to speed up their edits. In addition to that, they usually have them in the mini config of a 10K Less, because these days it's very rare that you see a full-size keyboard. They usually take up way too much space and limit your keyboard angle, making it very difficult to have the space to rotate the keyboard while playing. One peripheral you can't forget is the display, especially ones with high refresh rates like 240Hz or even 360Hz if you play at home. I know most of you guys know this already, but if somehow you don't, having a high refresh rate can be a game changer, especially coming from 60Hz to 144Hz to even 240Hz. The difference is just next level. Right now the standard does seem to be 240, as Fortnite themselves have used the same monitors ever since their LAN back in the 2019 World Cup. You can't power all this stuff though without a decent gaming PC, and I'm talking about those metal playing boxes next to every monitor. Those right there are the Falcon Northwest Fragbox PCs. They're built for LAN, with them being small, portable and crazy powerful. I know a lot of you will be wondering what sort of specs are inside these, as every pro is playing pretty smoothly on them even at endgames, but thanks to one of my subscribers, they spotted Rezon opening the task manager, which revealed the specs, and it turns out that they're using a i7 13700K CPU and an RTX 4080 graphics card, which makes sense because these are the system requirements to run Fortnite. And finally, I want to talk about something a little bit different, which is the superhero skins. By setting the color to a fully monochrome one like grey, this can be a very effective way to blend into your surroundings, which can give you a huge advantage in game. But yeah, that wraps it up. These are a few things that Fortnite pros actually use at LAN events. If you found it useful, please drop a like and subscribe for more, and I'll catch you guys all in the next video.
Welcome to Vase, the all-in-one project management platform designed to revolutionize the way you work. Manage tasks across multiple boards. Stay on top of complex projects. and collaborate effortlessly on documents, all in real time. Need help?
Peterbot and Oceanics just won the FNCS Pro AM, and during this tournament we got a closer look at some really interesting LAN setups from all of the pros. From Oceanics, these are 25 Fortnite settings pros use that you probably don't. After years of digging through pro player settings and testing them myself, I'm sharing the absolute best Fortnite settings that you need to know about to improve your gameplay. First up is mouse sensitivity. Right now, 6.4% is easily the most common X and Y amongst the best performing players. Peterbot, Cold, Bugger, Acorn and Poyo are all using it, and if not, pros like Aegis and Amonzo are running something extremely close. The reason why is because it fits perfectly with the current low to medium sense meta, especially with every pro player having a competitive setup that features a very large mouse pad and basically replicates a LAN style layout. Pretty much every pro pairs this sensitivity with 800 DPI and 1000 Hz pollen rate, because 400 DPI is outdated and 1000 Hz is more than enough. Yes, 2000, 4000 and even 8000 Hz do exist, but the latency gains are barely noticeable in game, and they come with a bunch of downsides like higher CPU usage and very poor battery life. If they did actually make a real difference, every top player would have switched by now, but they haven't. What actually makes more of a difference is how your mouse is set up. With mostly every pro using a wireless mouse, it's very important that you use the dongle extender and keep it on your desk. Logitech recommend within 20 centimeters of the mouse itself, as that's the best way to maintain a strong wireless connection. However, we have seen some pros like Peterbot that do stretch this slightly, but as long as it's on your desk, you should be fine. It's also really important that you plug the dongle into the rear USB port of the PC itself and not the front one. This is because the rear ports connect directly to the motherboard, which helps reduce input delay. Oh, and don't forget to turn off the enhanced pointer precision in Windows if you haven't already, as this is the mouse acceleration and it can make your aim very inconsistent and mess with muscle memory. Next up is in-game brightness, and this one's very simple. A lot of pros crank this up to like 125% or even higher, and the reason behind this is so they can see better in-game, especially when it comes to end-game storm fights. You'll see players like Peterbot, Cold, Canada, Bolt and even Shark all have their brightness boosted up high. It's one of those very small changes that can instantly improve your visibility, but it doesn't just stop at in-game brightness. You'll see a lot of their NVIDIA control panels. Clicks and even Peterbot both run their digital vibrance at around 70 to 75%, and this is one of those settings that can make a big difference in game. It essentially makes your colors pop a lot more. Many claim it also makes the zones look a lot more clearer and helps enemies stand out better, which could help you massively in those end games when the zone is constantly moving and there's just builds everywhere. Next up is custom actuation, and this is where keyboards actually start to matter. Most pros are using keyboards like the Wooten or the Apex Pro, which allow you to set how deep you want your key to be pressed before it registers. Instead of the standard keyboards that only have 2mm actuation, these sort of esports grade keyboards allow you to go down to as low as 0.1mm, which, as you can imagine, literally activates a key with the lightest of taps. These super low actuation points are very popular with pros, with most of them choosing to have 0.1 or 0.2. The lower you set this number, the faster your responsiveness feels in-game. It's one of those changes you don't notice until you go back, and then everything feels slower. This gets even better with something called Rapid Trigger. Instead of waiting for the key to fully come back up, Rapid Trigger resets it as soon as you lift your finger. That's why a lot of pros are using this specific function with their edit key only, as it makes spam edits feel way faster. For aim, some pros take this even further by using a crosshair overlay program that essentially adds a static crosshair on top of Fortnite's default one. I've seen players like Rezon, Mr. Savage and Mongrel have all used these at some point. Yes, it seems that a lot of them may have been sponsored, but even then I'm pretty sure that you can actually These are 25 Fortnite settings pros use that you probably don't. After years of digging it resets it as soon as you lift your finger. That's why a lot of pros are using this specific function with their edit key only, as it makes spam edits feel way faster. For aim, some pros take this even further by using a crosshair overlay program that essentially adds a static crosshair on top of Fortnite's default one. I've seen players like Rezon, Mr. Savage and Mongrel have all used these at some point. Yes, it seems that a lot of them may have been sponsored, but even then I'm pretty sure that you can actually get free versions of a crosshair overlay if you did really want to use one. I will say though that not every pro likes these. I did hear that Peterbot himself actually hates overlays and completely avoids them.
I would never use that cross-reg.
If you're on an NVIDIA GPU, like a lot of pros are, you want to scroll down to the bottom of your video settings and check out this NVIDIA setting. It basically optimizes how the game engine submits rendering to the GPU, minimizing the time between the player's input and the visual response on screen, which helps reduce system latency. If you have a high-end PC, you'll be fine on On+ Boost, but if you have a medium-end PC, you might only want to have it on